So the idea of today is to really reflect on what's happened in the last year, how that's been, what's gone well, what challenges there were, and also to look at next year and start generating some ideas for some of the things we could be doing. We've already got a few things planned, I know, but there's always need to add more. We thought we could kick off with a small input from Daniel to give us a bit more about IACD and some of the current activities. So back to you, Daniel, for that.
Okay, thank you, John. And I will share a few slides. Some of the information is already in public domain in terms of part of it we discussed during our AGM, but is more to put context to the discussion today in the open forum. Okay, so just a quick narration, just to put context of who we are. That is IACD. We are a global network of multidisciplinary members who profess to the discipline and practice of community development and driven or brought together by interest in community development practice. And so IACD is a network of membership of practitioners, be they in academic or in practice, but brought together by the interest in community development practice. And so as a network, then it is the membership then that drives the agenda and the interest and the merit of IACD. The mission of IACD is to promote a value-based community development as a practice of community empowerment and facilitating networking, shared learning opportunities for a global membership. And so what brings together is to be able to add value to the understanding of community development and also the practice, so that ultimately we come out as empowered as practitioners, but also with the communities that we work with. And of course, then for the membership also to share our learning opportunities like now we are doing, so that then we can grow as members in our capacities in what we do, is looking at what we are doing is currently in terms of our reflection on what we have achieved, the challenges, and the way forward. We also want to anchor this within the framework of IACD's strategic plan, which is running from 2024 to 2029, and underpinned by three thematic areas, one of which is advocating for the discipline, the values and methods of community development, and also championing community participation and empowerment, solidarity and agency, so that then we have a discipline that is anchored and on common values that we subscribe to, and also methods that guide the practice and the discipline, and then also trying ultimately to promote agency for the communities that we work with. The second goal of IACD is to support and engage with members and the field to promote networking, practice exchange, and professional development and collaboration. And that's part of what a sub-Saharan African region, we are trying now to bring this as a platform through webinars to facilitate professional development, and out of it, then we can build collaboration. And lastly, as an organization, we want to also to ensure that there is sustainability in IACD in terms of governance, professionalizing of the field and practice, and also be effective as an organization. I will speak more about this in terms of the priority areas as you talk about advocating, promoting CD in the global stage. One of the things that we do, release statements, and you might have seen the recent statement that was released after the Doha meeting on the World Summit on Social Development. And of course, attendance of United Nations Forum as being an accredited organization with IACD, and these are a picture of our previous chair and some of the trustees who had attended a meeting in Geneva. And then we also promote international standards of community development through new translations and also through webinars. And we have aired a series of webinars and trainings on standards as part of promoting the discipline and promoting a common understanding on what the discipline and practice should be all about. The second priority area is supporting collaboration, which I've just talked about. We are publishing Practice Insight magazines. Currently, we are underway. There is an edition on cooperatives that's being finalized. Very soon, it's going to be released. We have an edition where we have called for abstracts on career paths in community development, and we're encouraging you to submit abstracts so that then again we can have a common understanding on where we want to take the discipline, the practice of community development, and what career paths are available. As part of also supporting collaboration and capacity building, we host regional meetings and webinars under the strategic plan, and the operational plan is to do 20 webinars globally. In our region, we have this is now going to be the 11th also in the series, and of course the other regions are also making a contribution in this, so that again we provide a forum for capacity building across the region that members can find a place where they can be able to grow in their career and in their practice. And then of course promoting and holding community development conferences, and we have the World Community Development Conference 2026 being hosted in Glasgow end of May, start of June. Again, abstracts are being invited, and we invite you to meet in Glasgow and continue the engagement. And lastly, we talked about the priority number 3, which is ensuring sustainability of IACD as a well-governed, effective, professional organization. And the pillars of that is prudence in governance, and that's part of why, again, we are inviting this kind of input and reflection, because ultimately, as we talk about what we do in our practice, there is also what also falls into the IACD as an entity in terms of managing how we do our business, so that ultimately we can be able then to support the network and support the growth of IACD as an organization that brings us together. Financial sustainability is important. That again is going to be anchored in what we do as members and what we bring on board in terms of the value proposition, which then we can see out then to network and market IACD in terms of being supported as an entity that is adding value in the space of community development. But for that to happen, again, membership is very important. Any organization is as strong as the body of membership that it brings on board. And so if we can, again, be able to promote growth in membership, that is also going to be important in terms of then enlarging the space and the voice that we have in promoting the discipline and practice, and also ultimately bringing value to that IACD can then preposition, saying that we are a network of 500 plus professionals, and therefore this is the space we are claiming, and this is the expertise we are bringing in the space of community development. And then we can speak into the value proposition that we need to bring in as professionals, and also as we work with communities. And so as we do a reflection, then this is what I'm inviting, that we reflect how can we grow in membership so that ultimately we become a strong network, and also we build a strong IACD. And so I'm inviting John to lead us now to the next step.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Daniel. So that's a bit of an overview of where we are as IACD. Let me welcome Stella and Abdul Hamidou, who've just come in. So at least we've expanded a little bit. What we're going to do is just really have and Hyacinth has just come in as well, so welcome to you. What we're going to do for the next hour or a bit less than an hour is really just reflect on some of the things that have happened this year, but also looking forward, like I said. So I've put some questions in the chat. but let me share my screen anyway, so you can see them. And we're actually going to be discussing these questions in breakout rooms. So just going to have two groups of about 5 people each, I think, 5, 6 people. So what have been the highlights for you this year in terms of IACD activities? What challenges have there been? What have you learned from these activities? What ideas do you have for next year? And what role can you play in actualizing these ideas? So it would be really nice to see people saying, yeah, I'd like to do this, I'd like to volunteer for that, you know, so that we move beyond ideas, I guess. Maybe just to set the scene a little bit, I was trying to think back, what are some of the things we've done this year? And I'm only thinking of things I've been involved in, but we, as you know, we have these monthly webinar sessions, and they've been going on for quite a few years now. But looking back, I can remember sessions. I think we've had maybe 2 sessions relating to standards within community development practice, which have really been very helpful, I would say. There was a session where we had students from about 3 universities in different countries sharing some of their community development experiences. We had a session looking at environmental and social frameworks. There was another one on youth entrepreneurship. There was one relating to care as a societal issue, and several others. And some of us maybe have been involved with the Researchers Forum. And one that really stands out for me was a recent one looking at community-led research amongst Aboriginal communities in Australia. But there are various other things going on, people involved in different ways. So hopefully that will refresh a few things. I've put a link in the chat for a Google document, and okay, thanks, Isid, for coming anyway. So I put a link in the chat, and if in your groups you could just make sure that some of you are writing some notes. You don't really need to write group 1, group 2, just put everything in the document. And then when we come back, we can look at all of that together. And that's got the same questions that I've just shared in there. I think in the groups we can have about let's have about maybe 20 minutes and see how that goes. And then we'll come back and share what we've come up with. Is that okay, everybody? Does that sound clear? If not, please say, if it's okay, give me a sign. A thumb is great. Thank you, Bob. Okay, hopefully that's good with everybody. So let me open the groups. There's about 4 or 5 people in each, I think. And we'll see you back about 20 minutes. Okay. Welcome back, everybody. I'm not sure how far the other group went. We didn't really get on to next year. We were reflecting more on this year and some of the issues that were coming up in relation to community development practice generally. So I think what we could do is just maybe hear briefly from each of the groups, any sort of reflections that you'd like to share, and then we can perhaps think together about the next year ideas. I realized that the 20 minutes went quite quickly for us. So maybe let's start with group 2. If anybody would like to just share any highlights from your discussions, that would be good.
Yep, I can briefly. I tried to take notes, but I think the notes seem to have disappeared. So I guess I'll try to remember what was discussed, and maybe Daniel can also assist. So the highlights for us was mainly the different webinars. We had someone also talk about their personal highlight, being able to actually apply their theory into practice. So from an academic background, learning community development, and then being able to actually work on community projects and seeing how things can be done on the ground was a key highlight for them. For myself, it has also been able to actually be more involved and attending these different events that IACD has been organising, and actually meeting different people in the network in person, or at least virtually online. And I think, yeah, information sharing has also been a key one as well. I'm not sure Daniel or anyone else from Group 2 has anything to add.
Thank you, Ritva. Anybody else from that group?
Yeah, I think Ritva has captured largely what we discussed in terms of the achievements.
Okay, great. So somebody from the other group, that was Group 1. Anybody? That was the group I was in.
Hello again.
Hi, Fred.
Yep. I think,
Yeah.
as I mentioned in the group, I'm a new member, and I'm actually excited that this forum is providing opportunity to reflect. And I'm thinking in the next one, when we will be doing the reflection, I'll be more able to share the experiences and perhaps what we are also doing at the university, research at the community level. But I think I mentioned that last 2 weeks or so, I attended an international conference in Zimbabwe, which largely, I think, focused a lot of issues on community development. And perhaps I will just need to be guided on how I could share my thoughts and perhaps see how those could inform some of our actions, which I believe will be relevant in this forum and in the practice of community development and research. I'm complete.
Well, thanks, Fred. Anybody else from that group like to add anything?
I've tried not to say anything, John, because I did a lot of talking in the group. So but it seems to me from the list I made, you know, people have found the webinars helpful, and particularly the webinars that reminded us that we're there to enable others, rather enable communities and enable citizens, rather than you know, to spend our lives thinking academically about things. You know, there was a reference to the book that Daniel has been editing with others, and certainly from our perspective, that's been a significant piece of work that she hoped will have some influence. Yeah, Stella, waving our own flag. You know, we ran 2 webinars on the issues of care being a societal rather than a commercial issue, and it was reinforcing that Stella referred to it as helpful and stuff that she'd actually taken forward. The other thing that I raised in the group was, you know, we're part of a couple of international, you know, people like the inclusion movement, international organizations that are concerned with disability specifically. The stuff that is really, really impactful that we're engaged with on a day-to-day basis is when people come together and actually work on development projects, so that it goes from, you know, it goes beyond talk to actually action and learning from each other in practice. and I think that's probably the next step in the development of IACD if we can take it in that direction.
Maybe
Sure,
John,
thank you.
if I can add
Yeah,
something.
please do, yeah.
Yeah, there's what part of it which Dr. Frederick was able to share about him learning about ICD from the social media, and then eventually was able to translate it to membership, which I will connect back to what Dr. Muia was basically presenting before about the issue of membership. So even as part of the highlights, everything that, for instance, is posted on social media, then we can be able to see that it's able also to increase or attract people to be able to form an interest in joining the association. So which now means even the different activities that we do, can you also as members increase traffic in either watching them or sharing them to other different counterparts or colleagues that we have? Back to you.
Great, thank you. That's really helpful, Stella. Thank you, and thanks everybody. I thought what I could do is just quickly share the screen. And Ritva, apologies. I was the one. I wasn't editing. I was trying to put your comments from, because they were as comments rather than in the main document. So if we missed a couple, I'm sorry. Please add them in. That document's still open, so
No problem.
anybody can write. Yeah, it was coming across as a comment rather than in the main body of the text. So I was trying to copy it from one to the other.
Oh, yeah. No,
Yeah.
that's fine.
Sorry about that, but please keep writing. There's other things come up. This is what it looks like at the moment. Probably the notes are a bit rough in places, but yeah, as was mentioned, the webinars have been really a big part of what we've been doing in the last year. Several people mentioned the development of a book on community development practice in Africa. And the researchers forum was there. And I think, this general information sharing, I know in the WhatsApp group, for example, we do share quite a lot of things, which is hopefully quite helpful to people. Apparently only one challenge, which has been other commitments leading to limited participation in session. I believe there must have been other challenges, but maybe they've just not been captured. As we move forward, that couple of points on learning, the importance of communities leading their own development, really, which I think Bob had mentioned again just now. Is there anything else anybody like to add there, learning or challenges, so that we can document it?
I think one thing I mentioned in our group was that I find I get so many emails, so it gets lost. And then sometimes the time zones just don't work because they're during office hours, for example. But I guess I'm not fully familiar with the recording and how to access these recordings as well, which would be nice to know, so I can, essentially, if I cannot attend the actual live virtual event itself. So that's been a challenge. And then I guess for me personally as well, as someone who isn't necessarily academically, like I don't have a degree as a formal practitioner, I've largely done it as a bridging work. It would be interesting in terms of, I guess the challenge has been understanding what kind of professional development opportunities there are for me to be able to maybe take some courses to be able to develop my praxis.
Okay. Need more information on academic and learning opportunities, huh?
Yeah.
I hope that captures it reasonably. But these are good things to keep in mind moving forward. Thank you. Thanks, Ritva. Anybody else want to come in? Okay, if not, let's move on. Let's start thinking about next year, and we've actually got quite a bit there now. So one was how to share some of the outcomes from the Human Development Conference. Remember Fred was talking about that. Then we've got expanding membership and partnerships, more people on the ground to engage with community development projects, more marketing of IACD, learning from more experienced community development practitioners globally, platforms for professional growth, mentoring, capacity building, development activities, sharing experiences from different works and case studies, the ongoing webinar series, which is monthly, prioritize increased in-country engagements and promote local forums to accelerate knowledge transfer, strengthen local capacity, and foster strong collaborative relationships within the community, especially in anticipation of global events like the Glasgow meetings, and development of social media and information sharing with others in our networks. Okay, so that's quite a lot. Anything else that anybody would like to add to this?
Yeah, John, I guess just looking at how joint projects come together in other spheres that we're engaged with, it's because we know where the funding sources are that support that sort of experimentation. So maybe we'll pay a bit of attention to exploring funding sources for basically for joint or development projects, or I'll think of a better way of describing it at some point, but
yeah, so collaborative efforts.
Yeah, that's right.
Great, thank you. Daniel, I know there's a number of sessions already planned for next year. Would you just tell us what's already lined up for the the webinar sessions?
Yeah, with the webinar series, we have about 5 sessions already lined up for next year. We'll talk about 2. John will talk in detail about 2. The immediate one in February is on community leadership, which is built around some talk that has already been done and some training that has already been done in the Midlands of UK by one of our IACD colleagues who wants to translate the same and now contextualize it within the African situation. And so that's what we start with next year. Because again, we also need to appreciate the importance of leadership. And as we engage with communities, leadership becomes important because issues of sustainability. The March one is John will talk about it. April, we will have a students forum where students from 5 African universities will be trying to do a curtain raiser for the conference in Glasgow, talking about the students' perspective of community development within a changing environment, changing context. And so that's where we are in terms of looking forward. And out of the same students forum, and there's already discussion also to curate a session to be held during the World Community Development Conference in Glasgow. It's a way of just adding value and disseminating what the students are already bringing forth. John, you can talk about the 2 that you are promoting.
Oh, sure. Yeah, so May will be the environmental one.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the one in March, I've forgotten the title we came up with. It's really learning from work with women with disabilities in Kenya from a particular organization called Women Challenge to Challenge WCC. And the one in, I think would it be May, the environmental one? Daniel, is there another one before that?
May is the environmental one. March is the working with women with disability.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
and in fact, the the March one is quite, I think it's a couple of days after International Day. So it ties quite nicely with that. But yeah, the one in May is about a project in Kenya, where the local communities have been looking at environmental sustainability through very kind of, using local resources and local community organizations. So I think that's quite good that we've got several sessions already planned for, but we always need more. So, if other people have ideas, we can easily slot them in and start building up the calendar for the rest of the year as well.
Yeah, and we'll also have a session on standards again in the middle of the year. Yeah, we'll have a session on standards. So I've got about five sessions already in place.
Okay.
Yeah, and now that Fred is already looking for an opportunity to share, and then Fred, we can again link up, and then we line you up so that you can share your experiences and your perspectives. So possibly that comes in June, if that's okay with you.
Or maybe July, yeah. But if the June one would be the one on standards, right?
Yeah, June, July. So we are talking about from June. We can be flexible if depending on his timing.
Okay. So
Yeah.
let's put that. Anyway, we're 6 months away, but yeah. I'll just put sharing on human development from that conference. Okay.
Yeah, so broadly, as I indicated, the expectation from for IACD in terms of the operational plan is to deliver 20 webinars every financial year. And you can see we can be able to populate ours to about 10 to also. We'll already have done half of the work for IACD from this region. And of course, the rest of the regions are also coming up with theirs. So, but again, from what has come through, the webinars are an important have been reported as important platforms for learning and knowledge exchange. So if again we can see how to leverage and add value to the process, all the better. Because again, many of them again are presented based on lived experiences and work that we are doing with communities or with the organization and partners. So we are inviting all of us, if you have a topic of interest, just get in touch with us in this region or in the trustees in the region where you are located, and then you can be given an opportunity. In the event you find a calendar, for instance, for Sub-Saharan Africa is crowded, the calendars for the rest of the regions are also open. And that way then we have quite a wide space for us to be able to chip in and make a contribution.
Can I also add, John, that this is not relating to the webinar program, but at Lives Through Friends, we run a summer institute every year that brings people together from all over the world that share our passion around community solutions to how we support each other with disabilities. And we've decided this year that we're going to run that event to coincide with the Glasgow conference. So people are interested in meeting people face to face and getting engaged in a normative conversation with a wide range of people that are progressing those issues, the issues that we presented in the two care is a societal issue webinars. We'll have the option of staying on a few days if they're coming to Glasgow and joining us for that event. We've already made a decision that IACD members will get free registration for those events, for that event. Okay.
Thanks so much, Bob. Most appreciated.
Yeah,
Hello, sorry, I fell off slightly. There was something you were talking about, Daniel, which I thought I missed.
Yeah, okay.
Hello, Daniel.
We are trying to talk about the activities for next year and
Yes,
talk
please.
about the series of webinars. And earlier
Yes,
on, you
please.
indicated you have information you would wish to share. And so
Greatly,
we're
yes.
inviting you to consider sharing in a webinar in the middle of
Yes.
next year, June or
Yes.
thereabout.
Yes, please.
So that's what we are discussing about.
No, that's quite in order. Thank you.
Okay, thanks so much.
You're welcome.
Great, thank you. So we've still got a few minutes left if we need it, but we've definitely shared quite a lot of reflections and ideas moving forward. I think I just had an idea of maybe doing a round and just getting any other thoughts, reflections, particularly that area of how would you like to be involved. And some people have already committed themselves to different things, you know, but it might be nice as we're a fairly small group just to hear a few words from everybody. If you've got any other reflections or thoughts to share.
So maybe
Okay.
on the roles of what we can be able to do, which again, the way I'm thinking at it or looking at it is from our individual capacities, what you can be able to do, and then maybe as the sub-Saharan and then maybe IACD, which from my individual, from my side, the role I'm going to play is basically to be able to be available for all the different activities, especially the webinars, which I'd mentioned earlier was not able to attend majority of them. And then now part of it, basically now being able or looking for a way to translate all those in sets of ideas from the webinars to the communities. Because most of the time you're able to get the ideas, but the application bit of it or implementation, you are not able to proceed to that last stage. So maybe that is something I'll be able to challenge myself in 2026. How do I translate whatever I've been able to learn to be able to apply it in the community? And then also maybe at the sub-Saharan region or the ICD level, then as a member, I should be able also to keep up with the standing of the association in terms of even paying for membership and participating in the other bigger activities of the association.
That's great. Thanks a lot for sharing, Stella. Okay, maybe let's go to Abdul.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I also feel that if we can do more, there is something you raise in group 1 that's been less academic than more practical. So if we can be able to also devise a transition from being less academic and then more practical, I think it will also be good because especially for us in Nigeria, wherein we have a large number of student membership. So when you have a large number of student membership, you have to think about the way of the transition period from student membership to more something more practical after graduation. So this is one of the highlights that I think it will be good we think about it. Thank you very much.
So much. That's great. Thank you. Okay, let's go to Ritva maybe. Ritva, any other comments, reflections?
I feel like I've mainly collated all of my thoughts actually. I am very excited to see what 2026 brings. I think a mentoring platform would be great, or any kind of way to connect with fellow members.
So I can
Yeah.
go.
That's interesting. Something that I think could be worked on. Yeah, sounds good. Thank you, Ritva. Thank you. Cyrene,
thank you for this opportunity. My view is just maybe a suggestion about this webinar going on. I was suggesting that maybe from different countries we have different participants. So I was suggesting that maybe from where I am here in Kenya, maybe all the Kenyan participants we can meet at a specific place so that we can host the group. Maybe from also another country, maybe Nigeria, we can host their meeting at a certain place. They meet together so that we can host our group webinar so that we can share our also thoughts as a country and also thoughts as a global. So I was suggesting of group webinars so that we meet in groups for webinars. Thank you.
Yeah, that sounds great. So actual kind of in-country meetups and activities, maybe more of the same. Yeah. Thank you for that, Murigi.
Yeah, thank you, John. Yeah, I feel that I feel like the prioritizing in-country meetings, in-country meetups, basically just having forums where it's not always webinar, but it's physical, as this will also help us learn from the different members. You know, we all have a different, maybe our lines are different in whatever we do, but they have a community angle somewhere. So I think it will be good also for us even to offer our service. Like when you say we have someone who's dealing with the disabled in society, some of us maybe have something that we could offer. Maybe physically we will be able to be of help through our service, and I think that will be good because it will not only, if I can echo what was said before, the curriculum will not be more academic, but it will be more physical and something that will resonate well with people. So I think that's my contribution. So probably as we go to 2026, we may start thinking of ways of how we can do this, and it could be participation from activities members have, not only the ones suggested, mainly from the board at IACD, but also members can say we have this activity going on at a specific place, time, and then we can do that. So yeah, I would say that's my contribution of how I think we can improve.
Great. Yeah, thank you for that. I think that's point of physical meetups is coming across very clearly. So that sounds good. Yeah, Bob. Anything else you'd like to add?
I think I've had my say basically. Nothing really to add. I sort of support what was said about practical. I think finding ways of doing things together and sharing things and problem solving together is, that's what really makes a difference very often. Words can be very cheap. Actions have much more impact. But that's a bit of philosophy. Okay, thank you.
For sure. Thank you, Bob. Thanks a lot. Okay, maybe let's go to Rick.
Thanks, John. I'm not a regular visitor. Hope to be in the future. Beaming in from Australia, and I'm doing research here on community leadership in rural communities, particularly, and also focusing on the impact that AI is going to have on them with regard to jobs and the social fabric around it. So particularly focused on the community leadership development side of things.
Thank you. Thanks for that. Let's go to Masako Raphael. We're just wrapping up actually, but any thoughts you'd like to share about ideas for IACD going forward? Raphael.
Thank you for this opportunity. I hope everybody is doing well. So I've just joined in. So sorry, I came in late. I had some other commitments, but I'm following up on the discussions, and I think maybe my colleagues from Kenya will be sharing more in our group that we have. Thank you very much.
Okay, well, maybe let me say a couple of things and then I'll hand back to Daniel to wrap up for us. Yeah, I think from my side, definitely, you know, I'd love to see a combination of the online activities and the physical activities. You know, that would be ideal moving forward. I think one of my highlights since I've been an IACD member was actually meeting Stella and Daniel in Nairobi a couple of years ago. And we had such wonderful, lengthy conversations about so many issues, you know. And I thought, wow, we can't do this online, although we meet regularly online, you know. So I think, you know, apart from the organized activities, sometimes just get in touch with people, have a coffee with them. If you're in the same place, it's a really nice thing to do. I'm always inviting people to get in touch with me when they come to Mombasa. So that's particularly the Kenyans, but anybody else, just get in touch. It's always good to connect. And I like the idea of, you know, sometimes you're doing some community activities, maybe invite one or two other people who are around, you know, they can experience that and learn from that. It's a good way of doing things. And I'm also reminded that although the webinars is probably the cornerstone of what we do in the region, there's so many other things that are going on with IACD. So I'd encourage everybody to think about how else they can be involved, you know, in the different activities. But otherwise, thanks everybody for sharing. And we've got some stuff documented, so I think we can tidy that up a bit and share that with everybody through mail as well. Yeah, so Daniel, back to you to wrap us up.
Thanks, John, for taking us this far, and a great session that we have had. It's not always easy to reflect backwards and also forwards, because most of the time we are more concerned about the present. And of course, the past bothers us when it's issues or problems. But what has come through is quite encouraging, that by and large, we are finding our membership useful and serving us as community development practitioners. We've been able to pinpoint areas where we've had our successes. Fortunately, we have not had a lot of challenges, because what has come through is largely in terms of that we have commitments, and therefore that means, of course, we are still busy. It's a question of now repositioning ourselves. But then we have a long list in terms of what we want to see going forward. And again, that is very helpful. Taking into account that IACD is in a transition of sorts, we have in place a strategic director to spearhead a process of reset so that we can make IACD a lot more impactful and a lot more sustainable. And these ideas will be very useful in terms of now strategically repositioning IACD, so that then we just don't to keep on talking about that we are just a network of members. Then we have the substance that we are already putting in, so that then we can have concrete things happening, and the voices of us as members then count for much in terms of then informing the way forward. The webinars, I'm happy that there's serious commitment to it, and we're already seeing us populating even the calendar of next year quite easily. And for this region, and of course for the rest of the other regions, there's already that kind of movement to populate their calendars. And the example that has been set from this region is quite a strong message to the rest of the regions that it can be done, and is a viable opportunity for linking up. The aspect of capacity building is coming in quite strongly. That again is a discipline where there is new stuff and we need to be able to learn and share new innovations. And so again, this is quite useful. The fact that again we're also suggesting that we need to move beyond the virtual meetings is quite important. And that's a challenge to all of us in the region and beyond the region. that we create opportunities for linking up. And the way to do it is then, again, to be proactive as individuals in what we are doing, then invite our colleagues to be able to be part of what we are doing. And that then makes us strong in our practice at individual level and also collectively. And so it's the country meetups, I think it's quite a good challenge. We've been trying to proposing that countries come up with networks so that they can be able to address country-specific issues and interests. And I think this is where we are going forward. The capacity building bit, so that then again there is new learning. It's an area there's already a process already translating the standards into modules for learning, and so that then you can be able to have some certification of sorts, a certificate of participation. So then you have evidence of continuous learning. But then the suggestions that are coming through are also very useful, and they will be taken forward. These are documents that, again, as we process, we then will build the program for next year and beyond. And thank you so much for the perspectives that we've shared. I think it's 1.5 hours that has been well spent. Thank you so much that you've been so supportive over the year. And there is 2 activities that are of immediate attention to all of us and opportunities for us. We've talked about the Practice Insights magazine on career paths. Abstracts have already been called for. And also the conference in Glasgow, the World Community Development Conference. The submission of abstracts, as the deadline has been pushed to start of December. Let's put in abstracts and let's purpose to meet in Glasgow and to continue the discussion. But before we go to Glasgow, of course, we meet in February to continue with our webinar series. From me, best wishes as we go to the festive season. And thank you very much.